Hello everyone, Storm101 here. Today we'll be taking a look into my November 2020 forecast where we go over uh, temperatures, precipitation, and also my overall forecast. We'll also take a look into NOAA's forecast. We'll also be taking a look into some teleconnectors, the AO, the NAO, and also the PNA as well towards the end of the video. Let's go to get started with my forecast here. This is the temperature forecast here. As you can see here, across the northwest into the northern plains, likely be seeing some below average temperatures in the areas in the light blue. That's where we could see some slight below average temperatures as well, which is this is something pretty good across portions of the west that really hasn't had much of any slightly below average temperatures. Although some areas have seen well below average temperatures, although that trend will continue at least for below average temperatures. There'll probably be a little bit of a warm up, but then things start to cool down because of these teleconnections, which I'm going to be showing you guys that in just a moment. Especially across, for the slight below average region, actually stretching into central California and even to portions of Nevada and Utah as well. Meanwhile, across the southeast, at least the far southeast, will likely be seeing some above average temperatures. That'll be due to the Bermuda High. Likely be kind of getting into some of those areas there as well. The areas in the yellow, which includes portions of the Dixie Valley to the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and even into the portions of the Northeast. Can see some slight above average temperatures. Now, areas in the that's not shaded in any color or the EC region. EC means equal chances. There will be times where you can see some above average temperatures. There will be times where you can see some below average temperatures, or overall just average, which it also includes Maine as well to keep in mind there. So that's my temperature forecast. Let's move on to my precipitation forecast here. You can see here areas in the green, the northwest into the northern plains, portions of the Great Lakes, and then extending back into portions of the Central and Several Plains. We can see some slight above average precipitation, although we can likely see a couple areas exceed into the above average range, which I probably should add for at least for the northwest, as there's a lot of confidence for those regions there can see some above average precipitation. Meanwhile, across the south into the east coast, we'll likely see some slightly below average precipitation. Won't see that many systems, although the tropics can really change up the precipitation. We are watching for a tropical system at this time here that's right now could develop in the Caribbean and eventually turn to the north, possibly. We'll be watching for that closely there, but that'll be for a different video. You can see here it even extends up into portions of the New England states as well. And we'll probably won't see that many systems go through across some of these regions uh, here as well. EC, basically the same thing like temperatures, but it's just precipitation there as well, which includes a good chunk of the west and even including the Ohio Valley into Maine there as well. Now let's take a look into my overall forecast here. We'll go from west to east. Areas in white, it'll be snowy in mountains, and I'm pretty confident with, areas in the mountains be quite snowy, likely be seeing some above average snowfall across those regions there where you'll see some multiple systems going over some of those same areas there as well. Areas in the dark green, which includes northern California, central and eastern Oregon into central Washington, and eventually into southern Idaho, far northern Nevada and Utah, eventually getting into central Wyoming. Those areas will likely see some stormy conditions, rain, there could be some snow. That's a possibility as well. Areas in the dark blue will likely see some Arctic blasts, and it'll be snow. It'll be snowy at times across those regions there. Cannot rule out a snowstorm or two across those regions there, so definitely some we've got to watch there. Areas in yellow, pretty large area, stretches from central California through portions of Nevada, Utah, Colorado, northern Arizona, northern New Mexico, eventually getting into the central Southern Plains, eventually getting to the mid Mississippi Valley, into the Ohio Valley, portions of the Great Lakes, and eventually getting into portions of the Northeast. Likely to be a flip flop pattern, be kind of going back and forth. This is kind of due to the teleconnections, especially where we're seeing some absurdities kind of going into the central, well, not central, mid to late month here as well. With the teleconnections, things could change with the pattern, but most of these areas here will likely stay warm, although that could change when we get to mid to late November, which is a possibility. And by the way, the CFS is showing some slightly below average temperatures across portions of the east as well. But I kind of had some doubts on it, maybe happening more later in November, but we'll see what can happen there. Areas in the orange, the desert southwest, eventually getting to the Sour Plains, to Dixie Alley, portions of the southeast, and eventually getting into the mid Atlantic. Likely be seeing some warm and dry conditions for the most part across those regions. We'll likely won't see that many systems going over some of these regions here. Although across, kind of the Gulf Coast, maybe across the East Coast, a tropical system can really kind of change the weather, at least for precipitation wise. Although warm weather, I think, can take over a good chunk of November. Areas in the red across the Midwest, eventually into the Northeast, even into portions, well, not Northeast, the Great Lakes, back into the Central Plains. It'll be stormy at times. There's also the possibility for snow. Cannot really rule out. Some models are trying to show some snow across some of these regions here, kind of in the 10-day range. The time making this video, so we cannot really rule out some snow. Although some of these areas can see snow. Time making this video next week. So yeah, on that. Then the last area will be the far northeastern United States, northern New York State, northern Vermont, New Hampshire, into Maine. Looking at mainly an average November. Average temperatures, average precipitation, average snow. Just your typical November there as well. And that's the overall forecast here. You know, which that's pretty much the end of my forecast there. Let's move on to the Climate Prediction Center and see what they're thinking for November. Now, keep in mind this is May back at the 15th. They'll likely update this very soon, but this is their thoughts back into October the 15th. Above average temperatures across the northeast, the southeast, very warm across the four corner states and the several plains. Although equal chances across the northwest and northern plains, that's kind of some areas that disagree, some areas that do somewhat agree. I do agree with the southeast, not so much for the northeast. Um, don't really agree that much for the northwest into the northern plains. Likely too warm. Probably likely see some below average temperatures there, but we'll see on their next update here, which should be coming up in the next day or two. Here's our precipitation forecast. Really, the only area for above average precipitation is across the northwest, which I do agree, although we can likely see that get expanded further east, maybe as far east as the Great Lakes. Pretty dry across the central Several Plains, even including the Four Corner states, extending into the southeast. I do agree somewhat for some of these regions here. Actually, I do agree for the most part for at least a below average region. I think, the Northwest, I do agree, but I think that should get expanded to the east and perhaps a little bit further south as well, more into Oregon and Idaho there as well. Let's take a look into the forecast for the teleconnections. This is the AO, and this is what really messed up the winter last winter. When we have a positive AO, really your cold air is just locked around the North Pole. It's just staying there. And that's looking to be forecasted at least to the first few days of November, which will keep most of us, a good chunk of the United States, warm at that point. But you can see here, it does go downhill. That means that there will be a little bit more troughing. Well, the polar vortex will be unstable. So you get multiple of these troughs here going around the northern hemisphere across multiple countries, even including here in the United States. You could get some troughing. But that kind of leads to some other teleconnections, like what's the NAO looking like? It's looking to be staying mainly positive here, which means really for the eastern United States will stay warm with something like this here as well. And really your NAO is kind of around the Greenland region there as well. And looks like it's going to be staying positive, so that's for any winter lovers or snow lovers, I should say, across the east want some snow in November. Doesn't really look like it, at least for the first half of November. Although there is some snow going on across portions of the Northeast, and there could be another round, at least for some snow. But really, after that, there's not really any other snow chances at that point. Probably the better chance for snow could be mid to late November, but that's a big guessing game there, so we won't really get into that. Here's the PNA forecast here. Now, this is good news for the West. When it goes negative, really, that can lead to some troughing across the West here, even for some big systems as well. For the East, however, maybe staying kind of in the ridging territory there for us here in the eastern United States. So, generally, what I think here, there'll be some troughing across the West and a little bit more ridging to the East here. You could definitely tell by my temperature forecast here. It's warm in the east. It's a little bit cooler across. Even I got the north as well. There'll be at times, there'll be at times we'll see some below average temperatures. It's also forecasted to be seeing some well below average temperatures across the northern plains by the CPC in the 8 to 14 day outlook there. So, yeah, on that. And I think that'll verify pretty well with my temperature forecast here for November. And I think generally, I'm pretty confident on my forecast for November. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put a comment section down below. I'll answer you guys questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.